Okay, we are going to continue on the second thing that we want to do, which is on the admin expenditure. For that purpose, we need to refer to the examples of BP on administration plan, right? So as I told you earlier, just go straight away to the what we call the admin budget, right? So the admin budget, so administration budget, right? As I mentioned earlier, this is actually to needed in order for us to fill up this section, right? Expenditure, administrative expenditure, right? So we need to refer to this table, right? But as I told you, all this, some of this data, they actually produced in the previous table. Okay, so for example, this one actually it comes from the other tables before this one. Okay, same goes to this and also this one. Okay, office furniture fittings. So the only thing that we don't have here is the only thing that we don't have the table here. The other table is actually the vehicle. So vehicle is simply appear in the fixed assets. So just want to check if they are correct. Okay, so let's go to the previous tables here, right? So this one is a list of office supplies. How much is it? Okay, 172. So compared to this one, that one is 172. So exactly the same. Okay, then we go for EPF 11,405. Okay, we go up there, try to see the EPF. Is it equivalent to 11,405? Okay, EPF. So 11,405 equivalent, right, to the number that we have in the admin budget. But bear in mind, I told you that there are only three managers that need to be included in this department, which is the general manager, financial manager, and admin manager. As for the operation and also for the marketing, they all respectively belongs to their own departments. And then the last thing that you need to see to figure out the numbers is the uh, I think the office supplies, office supplies. So I think that value is 5424 under the office furniture, fittings, and office supplies. 5424. See if we can have the same figure. Okay, so they are the same. So again, what do you do with this number? You input them or you include them in admin expenditure, right? So it's it goes that we need to go to the input, still here, input tab, but we go under the admin expenditure, right? So what do you do here? I want to advise everyone that this land and building here, just leave it alone. I mean, do not input any data, because if you put any data, for example, 70K, okay, it appear here, it appear here, but I'm afraid that it does not appear in other section. Oh, ada juga. Okay, ada 70% Okay, ada 70. Uh, sometimes sometimes we some student, if some student they unable to input this land in building. So in that case, what do? You have to write another fixed asset such as land and building one. If you have the building but you cannot input the data here, so you need to put here. Okay, that's the idea. All right, so back to our discussion. I just want to input what the data that we have here, so it's just to match the discussion. Okay, so you go under fixed asset, you write that office. Okay, office furniture and fittings. Okay, so that value add are 5424. Okay, then again under fixed asset here, okay, we have vehicles. So you can write here vehicles. Vehicles, like for example van. Okay, imagine that you have van. Okay, for the purpose of administrative only. If you have car, then you name it car. Okay, so let's say we have 40K. Okay, 40K. Okay, so in our case here, we don't have, in our example here, we don't have land and building, so we leave it alone. So you can simply put 0. Okay, so none. Okay, um, or you just leave it blank. You don't have to put any, you don't have to put any numbers. And then we go for the here salary, EPF, and SOCSO. Okay, what do? You go here. Okay, so that one is 11, 4, or 5. So if I told you, you need to minimize these numbers. Try to minimize as you can, because we don't want that we incur too many costs. And then other expenses, for example, here we have office supplies, 172. Just example, 172. Okay, if you have for example, let's say you have because you see that if we look at this data administration, they don't have uh, they don't have the office, I mean they don't have the building. So I'm kind of wondering how they are going to operate this business if they don't have the building. So at least maybe in later case, I mean in operation, they may rent or may have their own building. So I assume that they don't have separate office and building, they have only the building for operation. That's why they leave this area blank. But in case you have it, then you put the numbers here. Let's say you have 100k. Okay, then you put the numbers 100k. Okay, that's fine. Okay, if you have. But in our case here, we leave it alone. Okay, so imagine that, leave it alone. You just leave it blank. Now if you have pre-operation, let's say you have insurance, Rotec, whatsoever, you can include in this pre-operation. Assume, for example, let's say you pay deposit for the rent. Okay, so if you have rent, let's say you rent the building, you don't own them, you rent, so you put rent. So rent, for example, let's say a month you pay 2,000, and the deposit is, let's say, 4,000. That one, this one is considered as pre-operation 4,000, because even before you start the business, you have to started to pay this deposit. So that, if we have it, if we don't have it, then that's okay. Okay, you can leave it blank. Okay, it's just want to show you the example. So I erase this one. Just want to say, if you need the building, then you need the rent, or if you don't do the rent, at least you have your own building here. So you have two options: either you rent or you have your own building. But do not have both of them. Do not have land building, let's say 10,000, so 100k. At the same time, you do the rent, so it does not make sense. So choose either one, right? If you have it. But in this case, student, they don't even have both of them. So I wonder how they operate with this kind of situations. But still, we just want to stick with the example here. So the total expenditure that made by this company under the admin is 57 1 ringgit, 57,001 ringgit. Okay, that's okay. Now, so um, uh, so you will see that we have so far input two data on marketing expenditure and admin expenditure, and then you can see that all other tab, such as the project implementation cost, they all recorded all the they already started to record all the data here. Okay, similarly to the other tablet here. Okay, so don't bother with this auto generate what we call the table, because they're all based on what you have included here. Okay, so for example, let's say we put 100k. Okay, as I told you, don't put rent. If you already have the land, you don't have to put the rent. If you have the rent, do not put the land and building, right? So you see, okay, under the land building they have 10k. Okay, so that's including in balance sheet, they also include the land and building 10k. But if you remove them, I mean you don't have that. Similarly to your project implementation cost, it is blank, 0. And similarly to your balance sheet, it's also blank. Okay, so whatever data or data that you input here, they are going to be appear in somewhere. Okay, so be careful with that. All right, so just I need you to be wise on the things. Okay, it's either you choose to have land and building or to have